Did you know that 74% of Americans drink coffee every single day? That's about 3 out of 4 people in this room. Although caffeine in coffee isn't the best thing for people, it's what personally motivates me to get up in the morning and start my day. I've been making coffee with my French press since last summer. Even though the finished product isn't too different than a normal coffee maker, I like to feel fancy and play barista while making my daily coffee. Whether it's making it at home or going out, a cup of coffee is how a lot of people choose to start their day. Many common ways to make coffee are a coffee pot or even a Keurig, but I like to make it this way. I'm a big coffee lover. If I don't have coffee at home before school, you'll most definitely see a cup of coffee in my hand the first few hours of the day. Today, I will be showing you how to make my favorite coffee recipe using a French press. To start off this demonstration, I will be explaining the French press. A French press can be used to make coffee in many different ways. You can make it hot, you can make it in an overnight cold brew, or you can even make an espresso, which is a stronger coffee. Due to the limited time today, I will be only demonstrating how to make an overnight cold brew. Obviously not putting it in the fridge though, since I do not have that with me. First, I'm going to start off by explaining what I call the anatomy of the French press. So this main part comes off the bottom, and this is pretty much a base. Not only is it what holds called the glass beaker up on the table, it protects it from if you set it down too harshly and it could crack. Handle, obviously, to hold it and to help you pour. And like I said before, this is the glass beaker which holds your coffee. This is called the plunger. It has the cap which helps you pour it correctly and to keep it covered so no contaminants get in it. This is called the plunger knob. It just helps you push it up and down. This is the plunger rod, which obviously holds everything together. This top is called the spiral plate. It helps hold the mesh filter inside, and it also helps the water get through without the grounds. And on these little springs on the side, it helps scrape the side off of the grounds. This bottom is the cross plate, which also helps hold the thing together. The first French press was patented in 1852 by French inventors Mayer and Delforge. It was the most common French press. This is the most common French press, which was made by Italian inventors Attilo Cammani and Guido Moneta in 1929. The real question I ask is why it's still called a French press, but that's obviously not the point of this speech today. So I have my French press, which is the most important part of this demonstration, and I have my coffee, and then I also have a cup, which I will use to measure, and then I have a jar, which I put my coffee in. I have a milk frother, which whips the milk, and it makes it kind of just prettier, but it also can make it more foamy. I have some caramel, which I will put around the jar to make it a little more pretty, but also makes it a flavor. And then I have my creamer. I also have cinnamon as a little garnish. And I forgot my water bottle over here, but that will add to coffee later. So, I'm first going to start off by taking the cover off. Also, you want to make sure this is clean, but not have any leftover soap, because if it gets stuck in there, it'll taste like soap, and that's not good. So I'm going to start by unrolling my coffee bag, and I am going to put in this. So this is 1 cup. I do slightly less so it doesn't overflow, because I don't want to make too much of a mess. And yeah, so we're just going to pour that in. I don't do it exact, and honestly, I usually eyeball it, but for the sake of today, I'm gonna do the best I can. So we're just gonna pour that at the bottom. So usually when I do eyeball it, there's like this little bump on the bottom of the thing, and that's usually what I pour it to. And now I will take my water and fill the rest of the thing. So, that water wasn't as full as I thought it was going to be, but usually you would want to fill it up a little bit more. Now, I'm going to take a spoon, and I'm just going to mix it up. So, my best analogy I can come up with this is that it should look like mud, but that's obviously not the most appetizing to hear. After you have your mud, you are going to want to put the cover on with the cap on the way top. So you're just going to set it on there and then pull the cover down. There's a little arrow on top of this. It's not very important to what it is, but I like lining it up because it looks pleasing. You're going to press down the plunger until it just hits the ground. And so that is what I would put in the fridge and leave overnight. I'm going to finish off this presentation with this one now. So in my fridge, it's not tall enough for the plunger to be completely up, so I had already pressed it down slightly. But to finish off this coffee, you're going to want to press down until it goes. It's surprisingly hard because the grounds get stuck to the sides, but it will you'll get used to it over time. So I'm going to slightly press down on it, and as you can see, the water or coffee is getting through, but the grounds are staying at the bottom. So after I have this, the grounds right here, they shouldn't pass through, but it also depends on what type of grounds you have. So there's finer grounds, medium grounds, and coarser grounds. And these are about a medium, so tiny pieces may pass through, but that's the thing that I just live with because I like the flavor of this a little bit better. So after I have this, I'm going to take my jar and I'm going to put some caramel around it. This, like I said before, is kind of just for the prettiness, but it also can add a little bit of flavor. After I have that, I'm going to add my creamer. Oh, she's closed. And it works. Yeah, that'll work. And I'm going to add that to the bottom of the jar. It really doesn't matter how much you do, depending on how much you like. I usually just put about a tablespoon or two. And then you're going to take your frother, and this has batteries in it, so it's going to be really fast. And sometimes, if you use the wrong container, it may hit you in the face, and that's just something that I've learned along the way. So I kind of tilt it to the side and focus the main whisk part on the top till it forms bubbles, and then I slowly put it down and incorporate it on the inside. I do this for a couple seconds, or depending on how much time I have to run out the door, a little longer. So now you can see it's a little more foamy. Sometimes I decide to put ice in it, but since this is an overnight cold brew, it's already cold. So I'm going to slowly pour this in. And depending on how strong you want your coffee, you can dilute it a little bit. I like mine pretty strong, but it's always up to your own liking. So now I'm going to add a little bit more of caramel on top, just as a little bit of prettiness. And I'm also going to add some cinnamon as a nice garnish. That was enough cinnamon. So it's now time to add a straw, and you can enjoy your coffee. I've now shown you the before, during, and after of how to make a coffee from a French press. I think trying different methods of your favorite things is good because it can lead to new favorite things. This was definitely a win in my book. I understand why those 74% of Americans choose to drink this every single day, and I personally think it's an excellent reason to get up. And yeah, so that is my speech. Thank you for listening.